to MSTV. I'm Neha Chauhan, and today on our talk show Rubaroo, we have Abdul Dewale Mohammed sir, who is a founder and group executive president of Asia Scholars Global Network. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
Yesterday, sir, you have a launching of 10,000 scholarship for African students in Indian universities. So, what was that about?
Thank you very much. First, let me thank the Marwah studio for inviting us to your very beautiful, well, established, institution, which we know that lots of people from all over the world have benefited becoming great people in the film music industry.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the question you've asked is very because yesterday we had the launch of 10,000 scholarships from Indian universities.
Yes, sir.
For Africa. That's the first step we're taking. We hope by next year we'll have probably about 100,000. So this year we're now granting 10,000 scholarship, which is from, I would say, universities who believe that there's a lot that can be done building relationship between Africa and India. We're actually motivated to do this because we've seen the trend over the years about the commitment of Prime Minister Modi.
Yes, sir.
To ensure that Africa can be given the due respect, and appreciation it requires in the global world. You know that just recently at the G20, Prime Minister Modi ensured that Africa becomes a member of the G20. So we now have a G21. So that was a great thing, which I think needs to be commended. And then secondly is the fact that I think he's been visiting quite a number of countries in Africa. I think recently he went to Nigeria, and is a good friend of South Africa, many other countries in Africa. So, but one of the things which we are very happy about that Prime Minister Modi has shown some level, because 8 years ago, he did got involved with the United Nations to create what we call the United Nations Development Fund with India to support the least developing countries in the world. And I think that is also something highly commendable from the part of the government of India. And we also noted that in the level of leading within the global side, even let's first talk about why did we set up our organization, which is now responsible with this movement of getting more African students to learn from India. Because we know that India plays a very important role in terms of part in the world. Let's talk about science and technology.
Yes,
and you know that even in America, most of the chief executives of all the big technology companies, they are Indian. So, and we know how strong. That's why we've sent a proposal already to the Minister of Science and Technology to see how we can support not just Africa alone, because we represent both the Arab countries, Latin America, and the Caribbeans, and also Asia Pacific. So we believe there's a lot that this continent's regions can learn from India. So also, we also noted the fact that the Prime Minister Modi had what is called the Global South Voice, Voice of Global South, which he also had a meeting with a lot of leaders from Africa and Asia countries. And also there was a meeting in Napo recently. I think that relates to about issue of revenue, if I remember that, which they also did here in India.
Okay.
So India, and that's why we have a secretariat in India here, and while we have the headquarters in the UK, in Kent. The scholarship we've just done yesterday is to ensure that we can have Africa to understand more, to develop more collaboration. We know there are quite a number of African students here in India because
Yes, sir.
I think 5 or 6 years ago I was in Chandigarh, one of the institutions, and I met some African students. And I think similarly when I went to Bhopal, I also met with some African students. So, but we still feel that Africa, people think it's one country. No, it's a continent. So you have people coming, 1.4 billion. Also,
Okay.
just like India, India is almost 1.4 billion,
Yes, sir.
which is the most populated country in the world today.
Yes, sir.
So we have that. And so we believe that there's need. And, Africans and India, they have a long-time history. People in Tanzania and Uganda who are Indians and many others. So we believe there's still need to get a lot of African students to understand India, Indians to understand Africans.
Yes, sir.
So we work on the process to ensure that for this first semester, which is April to September, our contact in Africa, who is also doing the groundwork to ensure, and we're liaising with governments of Africa to make sure that between April and September this year, those 10,000 seats are filled. So you'll be seeing a lot of movements from Africa into India, young people, very vibrant guys who want to learn, and also to help promote or develop their continent. So it's a great thing. That's what we're doing, and I want to use this opportunity to also commend the universities that started with us to ensure that we're able to get this 10,000, and we're really working on it. And we believe the government too should support to ensure that they have good experiences when they come here, and we will do a lot in our part to see that friendship is more stronger.
I mean, that's such a great initiative you have taken between Africa and India, and that's amazing. And by moving on to my next question, so you're launching your GSU program in London. So what is that about?
Yeah, GSU is a Global South University Association.
Okay, sir.
We felt that when we started in 2010, which is because before, for me, I have always been running children over years. I had an orphanage in Africa, and also in 2015, even before 2015, I had the first African children organization in Westminster in London. But in 2010, I realized that we don't care about children all over the world. We don't care. Leaders who are probably more than even my age, we never care about children. Because if we care about children, even in 2018, there's a World Economic Forum. Actually, it's an organization set up to help drive the policy of governments across the world. And they had their 48th conference in 2018, in January, in Switzerland. And then they came out with the theme and the fractured world. And I think we haven't seen any organization, even United Nations, dealing with that issue of the fractured world. So, but however, what we did was to find out why we have a fractured world. And then we saw, and we finally came up with 3 points that can help to reduce the issue of the fractured world. One of them was that we need to review international rule of law. And we believe that nobody can question the fact that what's the law today? Even when, to the height of it, when a lot of countries, even within the UN, had asked Netanyahu of Israel to try to stop the war in Gaza. And up till now, going almost 2 years, this war is still on. And I think if the laws can't control anyone in the world, when there is so much of what we've seen, the number of deaths, children, mothers, families being killed for not their own reasons, for their own cause, and then the world can't stop it, then it shows we need to do. But there's so many other laws that negate, particularly youths, even when it comes to employment. So we're even talking about reviewing international the labor laws. But however, we need to start looking at our laws, and then so that we can be able to ensure that there's equity, there's fairness, there's justice in our society. So there's a problem there. So what we have said, if you start to review it, maybe we start getting things right. Maybe 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, we start having a fairer world. Today, it is not a fair world. So secondly, we felt, which is also very disturbing, is the fact that there's no morals. Morals are totally almost gone. The issue of we have to look at parenting and teaching, because what is parenting? Parenting are people who look after the future of the state, and the future of the state is the child, because we always say the child is the father of man.
Yes.
So you realize that when I said earlier we don't care about children, now looking at issue of parenthood, parenting, we need to boost the value of parenting. The value of parenting has gone down completely. And then you even find that most families now, we all are nanny states. Everybody gives somebody nanny, look after my child. So how can those people give the best to your child? So the government too is not supporting parents to ensure that they can look after the future of the state of that child. So we give our children to be brought up by nannies. So that's another issue problem, where you say managing the state, we're not doing it properly. So we are looking at and teaching. Teachers now, due to most of the parents, I won't say with gender, because then I'm going to create something else in the global world by saying, why say women? But in the parenting, we realize that they are the one that actually start to feel the teachers don't have a right over the discipline of their children. So, and those who are powerful among them have subdued the respect for teachers, and so many teachers are not happy about that. So even in England, there we had, I think, if I give the statistics right, very recently, a lot of teachers who have been abused, even in London, recently, very large percentage. So that is a lot of issues when parenting and teaching, the value has gone down. We have a lot of work to do on that.
Yes, sir.
So we need to now have, which is part of what we looked at, to boost the value of parenting and teaching. And thirdly, which is very important, we're talking about answers to this fractured world, which was said by World Economic Forum. Nobody's dealing with this. Our organizations have been able to itemize this, and we're working on it. Then we have what is called the adage from Africa, which is a third one for us to be able to rebuild the bricks of our fractured world. And that third one is an African adage. It takes a village to raise a child, not a family.
Okay.
It takes a village to raise a child and not a family. The reason being the fact that if you have a child in a community, everyone today, even no matter how learned, knowledgeable they are, they always look at, oh, my child. But they never try to think that, and most times they will look at some children who are probably not in their own social status and try to discriminate and get their children not to mix with those children. And they forget that their own child is going to live in the same community like those children. So if you don't look after those children outside there, then what's the point of you being proud that I look after my children? You also have to be concerned about those, because those children out there can actually disrupt all your own, what will I call it, on your child, or your investment on your child. So it means that you're not, you don't have wisdom. So most of us have got some education, we've got a bit of knowledge, but we lack wisdom. And that's why society is not been thriving. You know, so we're only looking after a city where we now want to create a smart city, yet we forget all the rural areas. So all the people who are probably you call less privileged, they all mount like slaves into the city, creating a lot of hold up, creating health hazards, and then they come in here in the evening, they pile again because they can afford to live in a city. This happened in America, even what do you call it, Maryland to Washington, D.C. If you see the pile in the morning, in the evening, you see a similar thing. So because there's no planning anywhere in the world. We have seen this fact. It's not about Africa, Arab, Asia. You know, so the issue there is that because of the system that has created this, the system is to divide. So when you have 10 people and you take 8 of them out of equation to become your gardeners, your cook, your drivers, not that they're not intelligent, but you just system creates them, then 2 people, there's no way you don't have poverty. Even today now, there's no middleman. Is it that you're poor or rich? So we created these monsters. We have seen the problem. We believe it's going to take a long time because the seed that was planted is rotten. We are planting a seed. That's what we're doing as an organization. And we believe that if 88% of the world population can be so deprived, 88%, and that's the most resource, humanly and naturally, and yet so much. So what's wrong with us? So that's what we're trying to do. We as a movement, not just an organization. So we're ensuring that a lot of young people, we're building an army of people, and we're looking for people who are even more humane than we are, because it's like we have lost it about what is existence, what is human existence. So the value now is that we know it's a long journey. You know, we've just started 15 years ago. We did a lot of research. We've seen the way. So first of all, a lot of people got great ideas. We're almost sometimes too much in a hurry. We're most times too selfish to ourselves. So the point is that if you then have something like this, it takes a long 15 years of great research. First of all, one thing that the UN has lost is that, and I tell you, every year, there's what you call the General Assembly of the United Nations. The presidents of the UN General Assembly, every year, they only have 1 year term. Every year they come in, watch it what they say, they want to build trust. The United Nations is 80 years this year. You know the most worrying thing?
What's up?
You know the most worrying thing? I laugh, and Africa is 1.4 billion people. The United Nations is 80 years this year, but yet Africa, 55 countries don't have a say in the United Nations. And yet, United Nations goes there preaching to us about about equality, about being what we call it to have. You must have. I think what I will say here is that we've told the United Nations because we are signatory to the United Nations, and when the World Economic Forum in 2018 said the fractured world, we were very happy that at least they had women, they respected women. So they had women at that 40 conference in 2018 when even Donald Trump had the largest group to come to that meeting in 2018. We're very happy that they appreciate the women because we know the power of women. We know potentials of women. They can do a lot of things, and so we felt, and they're very strong, they're very resilient. So we're very happy about that. But we realized that they only use women as numbers. They chaired the whole event in 2018. So what we did in our own part as organization, ASCON, was to go call for a meeting in New York. So 18th of July, 19th of July, in New York, we sat with the UN Women at their headquarters in New York, and we told them exactly that as far as we are concerned, and that's why you're not seeing a lot of improvement about women, where we did let the UN know that because we're all working together, we're all government. So we need to be honest with ourselves because we're not honest with ourselves. Everybody says, if I feel to sit around the most community people, then I should just pile away, yet we're not really caring about the future of the state. So we told the UN women, you need to review your policies that are there about you wanting to be like men or saying about human men equality, but not understanding the powers, the potentials of women. You need to first look at that and use those potentials to support. Because at the end of the day, no man can stand up and say, I'm not born of a woman. So you know what God has given you. We respect our women. But it's not people trying to think that, men are trying to subdue women. No. Women has to know that respect is there. Nobody can take it from you. So why compete to say we have to understand you? We already know who you are. But that's the point that the UN has to revisit. And we are even saying the UN has to restructure. Because if America, like what Donald Trump is doing now, if America is already out of WHO, they also have to. So if America decides to pull out of the United Nations, is the United Nations going to cramp down? So who is working on that now to ensure that whatever even happens in America, we need to make sure we're talking about the rest of the world.
Yes.
197, 194, 195 countries we're talking about. So however, on 2018, we set up after we saw that we can't see the effect of World Economic Forum on the developing countries. That was when we registered and organized what we call the Global South Economic Forum. Now, we have the Global South University Association, which covers Association of African Universities, Association of Asia Pacific Universities, Association of Indian Principals, Association of International Society for Technical Education. We have the ASEAN University Network. We have the Association of University Latin America and Caribbean. And we also have quite a number of them, which have agreed now that we should come under what we call the Global South University Association. Now, we also find that in the last 15 years, we realize the failure of universities across the world. Because what we do is this, is whether you go to Cambridge, you go to Oxford, or you go to Harvard University, that's where we saturate our leaders. And some of them who want to become ministers, whether in Africa, Asia, or wherever, they spend thousands of dollars just to get the certificate from Oxford or from Harvard because it's like a club. And these are people, how much can they know the problem, the feeling of the people who are downtrodden? It's very hard. So we saturate our leaders from one circle. And that's what's up. That's why we said sometimes we call New York or London the financial capital of the world. But why do we go to recession? If we call it capital of the world. So how can we manage? So we have failed to manage human beings across the world. So talking about university, and even World Economic Forum, every year we pick a theme. And then the following year we pick another theme. But mind you, every year you call for expert papers. Those expert papers come, but when they come in, what do you do with them?
Okay.
Who is going to process them? So most of the universities don't have that structure in place. So what they do is find out, maybe UN says, there's something, everybody says, let's do because that's where everybody's flowing. Even there's so much sustainable development goals, which has been set up by the UN. Most people don't even understand, most universities. But every university, SDGs, SDGs, SDGs. I remember in South Bank University in London, the Global South under the United Nations, they organized an event. I was there, and they put on the placard, we have 17 goals. And the 17th goal is about partnership. So then they now ask people, go and post a note on which of the 17 goals you're involved with. I bet you everybody was putting notes. They did not go to partnership. So I called the organizer. I said, what's going on here? Everybody's posting forgetting partnership. And what the UN failed is, in 2013, we have Millennium Development Goals, MDGs. We started 2000, year 2000. Then they say, which has to go for 15 years. So by 2015, the UN has to give us a scorecard, the achievements of the Millennium Development Goals, MDGs. So 2013, they did something smart. They got the president of Liberia, a woman. They got the president of Indonesia, and they got my prime minister then, David Cameron, in England. The three of them became a high-level panel of United Nations to try and draw what the UN should do after 2013, after 2015. So they sat in Bali, Indonesia, and they came up with something fantastic. And we believe in it. And that's what we're working on. But the UN failed the states by not realizing, not looking at the resolution of this panel, which says two things: renewed global partnership, people-centered policies. If the UN has gone to that,
yes, sir,
what would have been doing the last 8 years? Because we only have how many years now? We only have more 5 years to 2030. They have to give you a scorecard of 2015 to 2030. So now, even one of the things we've said, and I'm glad that they were honest to say that there's a failure within the SDGs, because they've said they've only scored 15%. What they should have done was to take two partnership, which is renew global partnership, people-centered policies. And what we should have been doing is to look at organizations who are in partnership, and if they're doing very well, we use them as a test case, as an example for others to see that, the more you can partner, the more beneficial for the community, for society, and yourself. If the UN is able to do that, which means you're letting people know there's confidence in working together in collaboration. Because our problem is about collaboration, because we lack trust of each other. That's why, like I said earlier, the president of the UN General Assembly, they all talk about, I'm going to try and build trust. So up to 80 years now, there's no trust within the UN. And because if there is trust, that is all we have to do. And that's what they said in 2013 Bali, renewed global partnership. That is, we need to partner together. There's something called under the government, which called PPP, public-private partnership. Is it working in this sense? It's not working. So there are a lot of concerns. But one of the issues that we are concerned about as an organization is a lot of things people have great idea, whatever, but we are not looking at this fundamental problem. It's like we're always trying to plaster the broken wall. It's going to fall one day. So rather for us to uproot everything, relay the foundation, that's why it's taken us 15 years to lay a stronger foundation to ensure that we can get things done. So, and if you all have ideas, what is better is to create a structure. So what we've done, the structure first on education is the Global South Association. And then also for the work, the Global, which is under ASCON. Then also we have the Global South Economic Forum, which we now look at, because what is the job of the university? The university creates the manpower for the industries, for the services, either financial services or whatever. So they create the manpower, the workforce. And it is important that the workforce and the university education should work together so that the education will understand the needs of the corporate world, and that will help them to develop people that are vibrant, that can create a lot within the corporate world. But that's not happening. So why this is not happening? Because the universities themselves are not very creative as a whole. But you have people in the universities who are very creative, and about 15% of them, all over the world, not just Africa, Arab, Asia, those 15% of them, guess what? They're exploiting the university because they have become consultants to United Nations, to what do you call it, developing, to private sector. So their whole idea, knowledge is out there because they get more funding for themselves. So what we then find out is another 15% of our lecturers, they're also very creative, but they do not have the connection the first group has. So their mind is out there to look for those connections and so be consultant. Now, overall, you find out our lecturers in universities, not less than 50% of them are just waiting for retirement. So how can they bring out vibrant young people, which is the future of the state? So that's a problem within the organogram of the university itself.
Okay.
We're looking at that, how that can be solved. So basically, what we now see is that under the, I've mentioned about the ASCON, which is the Africa Asia Scholars Global Network, tidying up all universities, because in what we do is that we felt that, and which was what Jawaharlal Nehru and the Asia Africa that started in 1955, is that if we bring all the universities in developing countries together, they can now understand their common problems, their common challenges, and find out the solutions that relates to them. But what we do now is that most of the curriculum developing countries is meant for the West.
That's great.
So this is going to be changing as soon as we launch that body in London on the 18th of July. And then 19 and 20 of July, 18, that will be at the Gala Awards dinner. And then the 19 and 20, we move just meters away, which is the Queen Elizabeth Center. And at that Queen Elizabeth Center, we can now have formulate to make just the structures are well in place. So to support the universities, and like I said earlier, one thing I was missing, so I said earlier when I said that you find universities picking up what they call it a theme every year and not having a process. So what we've done, we did something about 2-3 years ago. We set up with 24 weeks. Every week we're inviting experts all over the world. And when they come in, what we're doing is to give them information about who we are. Then we ask them, what value can you add? So in that process, we're able to have at least, out of the 240 experts we brought in, we were able to see about 100 at the moment that can support us, which we now call what is called the Global South Center for Research, Innovation, Peace, and Technology for Sustainable Development. That's GSCRIPZ. That research center now, which does not happen in most of the universities because they don't have a structure. So what we're saying is that if the GSUA meets, expert papers are there, that center, part of even initiating what expert papers should be, so part of processing those expert papers, the research center will be there to be a buffer, to act as a think tank to support the GSUA based on the mindset or whatever policies that we've drawn. Secondly, you have the industries where the universities are creating the workforce. We have the industries, social service, whatever, that can then also work within the research center. So the research center will work to ensure that both the industries or the services, financial service, can work closely with universities so that we can be able to know how we're planning on developing. So the GSCRIPZ will be there. So what we've been able to do, which we're also launching at the House of Lords, is we've now created about 7 different organizations which we work. We have the Global South Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So we're working with experts on that area, to work with us so that we can also formulate a structure for what we call the Global South Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Secondly, we look at mining. Mining is a very big thing within developing countries so that we can manage and know our problems and to be able to have a growth. So we also have mining experts. So we create the mining. Similarly, we have what is called the farmers. Farmers, by looking at farmers, producers, and other those in agriculture and the rest of it, we also get in there so that we can work on it. Because all over developed countries, there's no structure as of today. There's no structure. So we're doing that. Similarly, we're doing about science and technology, which will come under Africa Asia Scholars. Science and technology also to look at the issues because today is the world of technology. So we're working on that. And we also have what is called the Global South Solar Energy Association. We had a meeting recently on all this area, which we call experts, to come and discuss the sustainable development of this area within the Global South. So we identify quite a number of them. So we are also going to have the solar energy, Global South Engineers Association.
That's great.
Which also, we're working on a lot of experts, and we've been working with them, and they all agreed that we need to create this structure. So we're launching them also at the House of Lords. And we also
Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. So it's a lot of work, but we're happy that...
You're doing great work.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And so we believe that that is also an area, and we also have the, what I call it, Global South. So 7 of them, which you have, and we're still building. So we're inviting a lot of experts across the 88% of the world population, 184 countries, to join us. So we have that also. So what happens on the 19th and 20th after the 18th of the launch at the Gala Award dinner at of Lords on 18th of July? 19 and 20, we now meters away, which is the Queen Elizabeth Hall, which is the largest conference center in the whole of London. So there it takes about almost 3,000 people. So we'll have exhibition. So we are calling anyone, not just even universities, because a lot of corporate bodies, let's look at technology companies. They need our population. So we created a big market for industries, for corporate bodies. So this is going to be like a networking for them to be able to liaise with all the 88% of the world population leadership in education, to liaise with them. Similarly, we have, what's it called, on that point. So on the 19th, the body we're launching, they will be able to create that structure, meet and discuss and look at the organogram, they look at the governing the document and agree on who and who will lead those bodies, each of them. So what we're doing is just creating structures on the movement we created. So that's what we're doing. And so by next year, the years to come, people can start seeing a lot. And even the West will even learn a lot from the way we're doing, trying to make sure that we can have a sane and fairer world.
That's amazing, sir. That's a great initiative I've talking about for the African people, and not for African people, but for the whole world. I mean, that's amazing. And for congratulations for launching in London and also launching the scholarship in India for African students. That's amazing. It's a very great collaboration between Indian and Africa.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
It's lovely having a conversation with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching MSTV. We'll be back with another episode.